Hello, welcome back to Modern Daze. We are at episode 29. Our question for our players today is, what is your character's colour scheme? This is just a simple question in anticipation for next week's question. It's a little bit more complex. So this week's question, I'm looking for something that encapsulates colour scheme of your characters. If you're going to make a miniature, 1 to 3 colours, and I'll start with Kyle.
Hi, I'm Carl. I play Cadman, the Paladin. Cadman's colours, he's very much sort of nature-based, so it's very earthen colours, greys, browns, greens.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. It's very, very Cadman-esque. Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom. I play Raphy Matthews. Raphy tends to be still like greys, blues, and whites in the main, with like highlight colours, but bright highlight colours.
Yeah, neons for that nightclub experience. Yeah. Ben?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ben. I play Hendrix sometimes. My character's colours. Let me think about that. Brown. I'm guessing that's kind of it, really. He's a dog. He's brown.
What's his collar?
I think he's got a nice deep rich red collar. I think that's.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe not quite so Liberace, but yeah, something nice like that.
Yeah. He's not wearing a ruff.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
Fun. Go on, Ken.
Nice.
Oh, me? Oh, okay, black.
Yeah. That's just Ian to the post there. Go on, Ian.
Yeah, strange enough.
Weird.
Yeah, sorry. Hi, I'm right. I play it. Sorry,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
Ian. I play Darrell, the play singer. Yeah, black is his predominant colour. Although he does wear like a keffiyeh scarf around the lower half of his mouth when he's riding his motorbike. And rather than the normal standard check pattern, that is actually a lot of the colours of summer, so greens and blues around that. The only other spot of colour he has is a silver pendant he wears with a large red ruby in the middle of it.
Living that goth life.
So we have a goth kid and we have an emo kid.
Yeah, oh my god, we got a goth kid and an emo kid, yeah. Go on, Andy.
Sorry, I'm Andy. I play another paladin called Berin. So Berin tends to wear quite muted, sort of quite.
You say
dull,
khaki, I'm going to be so sad.
Dull colours. I mean, there is bits of khaki in there. There's bits of brown in there. Bits of blue jeans.
Khaki's
bits of black.
not a colour.
It's sort of, he wears bits of military clothing at points, but he's not. He doesn't wander around in a military uniform the entire time. But he's got a coat that can change how it appears, and one of the views is a camouflage jacket, but it also is a sort of a black long coat, I think, and a sort of a
Technicolor dream coat.
Yeah, sort of, yeah, with magic pockets, and armor, and it's it also sort of like a sort of brown duster and stuff. So, but all of it's quite muted, quite dull colours that fade into the background, colours that don't pick you out, colours that you can merge into the background and disappear into the undergrowth and stuff like that to hide if you need to.
So nothing white with a big red cross on it.
No.
yeah.
No.
Yeah. Nothing too giving.
No.
Okay.
For various reasons, that he's not allowed to wear that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think I should add as well, probably a bit of dark red underneath the black.
To hide the blood
add to the
when
emo.
it happens.
It is blood. It is blood.
It's just blood.
It's not
it
clothing.
It used to be a white shirt.
It's not like red choice clothing. It is blood. It is leftover blood.
Oh,
It's either
God.
blood or red wine stains.
No, it's
grim.
blood.
Absolutely grim. Okay. Well, Thank you very much for that. Previously, we had at the beginning of last session, we did start with Hendrix going to visit the goblins. We are going to pick up from there because we had a little bit of technical difficulties. Ben sort of slipped out of the internet. The internet said no, so we'll start off there again as a bit of a previously. Here's what actually happened, and then you can Hendrix, you can decide to join the party as we get into like the here and now, as it were.
Thank you.
But that's okay. So despite actually starting with that, what happened after that night, you guys had spent the evening in the lodge. Simon was sent to America. Simon. And Jacob, I believe, has gone now. I can't remember. I believe he's decided to go back to visit Hungshup to find out some more information about Jahan Babak, a member of Raphy's group that has died recently. Find out a bit more information about that as it may be linked. And we left off with 3 of the members, potentially a 4th. If Hendrix, you decided to go on that, I will let you say whether you wanted to or not. It was Darrell, Beren, and Liam went to meet with Mercy Ashcroft. You had just been introduced. Just realised the one thing I was supposed to do, and I've forgotten to do it again, which was to get the information on that guy that's also there. Yeah, it's so frustrating. But it's okay. I can wing it from there. And Raphy, Cadman, and potentially wherever Hendrix wants to go, whether he wants to go with the other 3 or with Cadman and Raphy, we'll go from there. So
Okay.
that was kind of all we did last week. There was a bit of info drops from there, which you can find out by watching the last episode. Go back and watch it if you haven't. But yes, we will start off. Hendrix, you are being led through the Scars Ridge Cruise estate, this goblin housing estate that is somewhat protected by the Daze. Meaning that any peoples that are not magically inclined don't feel the need to encroach on that area too much, and anything within that area is magically hidden so that it just looks like your average council estate, really. You are being led through by the 3 young goblins that are good friends of yours. Gully doesn't. I can't remember their names now. It's on a handout. There we go. I will show to players. Did that pop up?
Yep.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's still loading for me, so we're off to a good start. Come on. Yes, Gully doesn't oik. They're leading you through this square between the flats. This area where there seems to be almost like a makeshift market come community area. Many things are being sold. People are chatting and talking.
Yep.
You can see Gutsa is close by, chatting with somebody who I believe you've probably likely seen before, but you've never actually spoken to them. Looks human, young lad, looks perhaps maybe a homeless person or just transient. And the I believe you said that you wanted to go straight to Newt Boom. Is that correct?
Yes.
Still?
I think I was.
Oh no.
I've forgotten what it was now, but they found it hard to get something, the traditional routes that they've been. They were like doing like a thieves' camp version of a conversation, like referring to things obliquely, and they've been finding it hard to get things by traditional routes or something. Is that right?
Yeah.
That was about the time that the internet crapped out.
So this group, the Skarsgård crew, have been finding it increasingly difficult. More so, very recently, especially with the presence of the Mages Council. Mages Council, I should say. It's the Order of the Shield and Order of the Star presence that was in the city just before you guys arrived. They seem to have petered out, and you guys have arrived to kind of almost take over. But their presence had made things very difficult for any kind of business to be done. Additionally, with the lockdown of Fairy, a lot of things have become very difficult for the goblins, as their biggest smuggling operations was to and from Fairy. As that's where they used to live, and they are no longer there. So you are being led up through this familiar to you block of flat, and the winding or concrete staircase that goes up and up and up to the topmost levels. And as you walk along that kind of grey concrete balcony that will sort of encompass all of the flats in that horseshoe shape, you make your way round to a recognizable flat that is known to be Newtboom's. This is where he operates from. There's a lot of goblins coming to and fro past you. Some greet you just in passing. Others just will carry on with their day. But you see that Newtboom, as always, his flat is open and people come in and out. You know that his home, it also serves as a place for the average goblins of this community to seek guidance and wisdom, as he is their shaman, and somebody that they look to for guidance and things. Though Gutser and Ark are their leaders, Newtboom is the one that is more like a spiritual leader in that sense.
Sure.
And you can go into this familiar place. When you get inside, unlike a normal flat, there are just the decorations in there almost lead you into a different world. It is jam packed full of things. It almost is reminiscent of a Aladdin's cave of knickknacks and trinkets. Random icons that don't really make sense either, like a lot of human items that would just seem like trashy Kinder Egg toy type-esque things. Bits of things that were likely thrown away, old toys, things you would find in charity shops, jugs, and anything that has had a craftsmanship's hands upon it seem to line and almost litter this area, these hall, as you go through the rooms and you're led further into this flat. Separated areas are made by shelving, housing more and more of these trinkets. There are drapes and things that kind of add color to the area, but also an atmosphere of being somewhere different. You almost lose the idea that you're even in a flat at points. And eventually you come to what can only just be described as a lounging area. Pillows, and there is sort of like a very crooked, old, very worn out sofa at the end of this little area, and sitting in it, a very elderly looking goblin who is just sipping on a cup of tea. And I'm gonna just I don't know if I've actually shared this with you yet. Apologies.
Don't think I've seen a picture.
Computer is going. No, my computer is going slow, unfortunately.
Ben's fault.
I'll show to you. It is Ben's fault. Here you see. This is Newt Boom. He wears where you see goblins wearing more modernish human style clothings that are just your generic t-shirts and things like that. He seems to be wearing from your perspective almost like olden day clothes, hand stitched, natural fibers. He's wearing like a leather waistcoat thing that's like proper leather, little bits of trinkets as well. The picture doesn't show it fully, but he's wearing like necklaces and necklaces of bones and shells and beads and things like that. Just he's adorned himself. And as you enter with the three young ones, I think actually at the door, it's Gully that kind of leads you in as the de facto leader of this little group of kiddos.
Okay.
Yeah, Gully kind of leads you in, and won't go any further into the lounge area, and you know that you can go straight in.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Newt Boom is there, and he looks up and he sees you, and he puts down his cup of tea and he goes, "Hendrix, it is good to see you. I wasn't expecting you."
I think Hendrix goes over and puts his head on his knee.
Yeah, he gives you the whole, a doggy affection thing.
Yes.
Yes. Good to see you. Where have you been, my friend? I have much to tell you.
Oh, well, I went to a pocket realm, and then we came back, and more time had passed here than had passed there, and it was very weird.
Oh, that is why
The worst part was there was no sausages there at all. I didn't find one.
That is shameful, shameful. What is a place without sausages? Not a happy place for anyone.
No.
And Hendrix, my good friend, do you have any information for me about what has been happening in London?
I do, I think, if I can remember it.
If you want some help, I can give you a little bit of pointers. You came over to London with the gang because things had been kicking off with the demons, or fiends, I should say. It's not just demons. And then you had essentially caught whiff of a gang rumble. When you went to investigate, it kicked off in the Highgate Hellspawns.
Yes.
My own fault. Hideout.
And all of the guardian spirits have been attacked or
there you go.
Something.
And then kind of anything you remember from there is up to you. But that's the overview of what you've done so far. If there's any specific questions you want to ask me, I might be able to answer them for you. But yeah, you can pass that over to him if you wish to. I don't know if he's thinking.
Sorry,
or
I
he's
missed
cut
that
off.
end bit.
Oh, it's okay. I said if you have any questions for me out of character, that because you've you can't remember it exactly.
Because I've got a terrible memory.
Specific, yes, that's
been weeks.
That's fine.
Ben, to be fair,
it has been weeks. That's why I'm giving you the opportunity to ask if there's anything.
Yes.
I can say that you pass on any information that you wish to pass on over to him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
regarding
think Hendrix has got
general knowledge.
no secrets here. He's happy to to tell him whatever
Perfect.
whatever he understands, and whatever I can remember.
Okie dokie. So you tell him about the
About the fight and
the
the demon
yeah.
possession, and that we think because he would know about John as well, wouldn't he? I'm sure I'd have told him
You've
all about
mentioned
that.
John to him, but and he's in the past previously tried to help you find John. All of his attempts to help you find John have been unsuccessful, which is why it's taken so long to hear anything about him. But knowing now what you know, that John is
Yeah.
elsewhere, yeah, in a place that frankly can't really be reached without a great deal of power. It makes sense now. Do you share with him about Ozzy and that connection?
Yes, yeah, the whole thing about the I guessing that they're brothers, or then because it was
Yeah.
they was referred to as the older brother, wasn't it? Who had had a connection with, was it six or was it the other one? Six.
You're six. Yeah.
Yeah.
He sits and he listens to you for a little while, just sipping from his tea. He's very attentive. This old goblin could sometimes get assumed that perhaps he's a bit senile beyond his years, but he's in fact very sharp, very canny. And he listens to what you say. And he goes, "That is very interesting. A brother. We did not anticipate a brother. We did searches before into his potential family links. We did not see such a thing. But if
I did not know
what
that
you're
he was tiefling.
Yes, that is also very curious, but I suppose that would explain a link between John and Sick. Curious link indeed. Wow, worrying.
Yes.
You have been on a grand adventure. You taken many places, and these people that you've mentioned, are they your friends? Are they helping you?
They've got a good supply of food. Yeah, they seem nice enough.
Mars bars.
As a question, yeah, Mars Busters, just casual chocolate poisoning. Have you mentioned anybody's names beyond just the first names?
Yeah, like I said, I'm quite happy to give him a full download of everything.
All right.
Well,
Yeah. What was that?
does he react to someone's name then when he hears them?
Roll me an insight check.
Okay. That's on now, and insight.
Which one of us dodgy bastards is he concerned about?
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
Probably not Raphy. He's the
Oh,
least dodgiest
no.
of bastards.
Oh, can you see that? It's come up with virtual tabletop not found. That's not good. It's a shame
Okay.
because it was a 28 as well.
That's fine. I will take you at your word. It's absolutely
Let
fine.
me.
You need to click the features and traits
Connect.
button in your.
Apparently,
let me
roll
just, we were. I was having this problem
conversation
last
earlier.
Wednesday with the. So, yeah. But mine actually worked. I've just wasted a natural 20.
Nat 20. You just wasted a nat 20. Okay. I will. That's absolutely fine, Ben. I will take you for your word because I know you can get up to those numbers. You crazy dog.
Yeah.
And from his end, he rolled incredibly poorly. So, by any chance, was yours a nat 20 or was it just a modified 28?
I think it was I rolled a 19.
It's a 19 plus 9.
Okay, that's fine.
It's on the D&D
Yeah,
Beyond roller.
Jeez. He does react in fact, he reacts to two names that you mention. The first one being Darrell Knight. He's usually very good at hiding his emotions, but you see that he's perhaps a little tired. Maybe they've been through a lot recently, and he's just doesn't seem to be as quick at hiding these responses as he usually is. And the second name he responds to,
I suppose that would make
is
sense that he reacts to Darrell, because given the fairy link and everything, and they're both kind of outcasts from there.
obviously that's a fair assumption that you can make. And the second name he responds to is Liam. And the description of Liam. He obviously he doesn't notice that you've noticed, as it were, and he continues to talk, and he says, "Yeah, curious friends you have made. It is good that you are keeping yourself busy and around people of your peerage, ability-wise. I mean, not many of people in this city are as able as you are, Hendrix. I have to admit, I was quite worried when the Order of the Shield and the Order of the Star seemed to be making their way into the city, and I thought perhaps you had been taken in. I was close to calling Delilah for help, but she herself has been quite busy."
Oh, well, thank you, but I bounce along okay. Takes
I
a
know
lot to...
you can look after yourself. You're very hard to pin down. We've that's Shona fellow turned up a couple of times, and
he hasn't been here as well, has he? God dear.
Of course he has. Yes, we took him around the houses a little bit, and he lost interest. But he hasn't been around in the past few days. So I have a lot. We have a lot going on. The Mage's Council has decreed that Ferry has been closed, and this seems to be of a concern to us. Our business and trade relied heavily on it being opened. And what with what?
Is it related to the circle spirits thing, or is it different?
I don't know. I believe there is a great deal of things happening. Quite worrying. The circle spirits are down, even across all of Britain currently, as far as we are aware. There have been talks of a lot of goings on with the gangs. I know the Scars Ridge crew have come into contact with, or clashes between particularly the Highgate Hellspawn and the FOA.
But they're being prompted by a third party that seems to have stirred them both up and has invaded the pair of them and put them at war.
Sounds like you have hit the nail on the head. From what the information you have just told me, it seems very much the case. As was my suspicion, but we did not have any proof. Though we do know that there has been some underground rumblings. Tell me, have you heard of the Crimson Serpent?
I don't think so. I haven't ever.
He goes, yes. Oh, before we came here, the city belonged mostly to the fiends. Some fae, but it was mostly fiends and vampires. Specifically, I believe the sanguine, but they are highly, highly secretive. Even we do not have so much information on the sanguine, just enough to know to stay out of their way. But This Crimson Serpent group seems to have reappeared. They are worrying us. Many young people have gone missing in the past week. Perhaps from what you have said, this link could be to this young brother of John's. Do you think?
Ozzy, yes. That sounds.
Though demons and undead working together is not out of the ordinary, but it is still. I would like to know why and what connection they have.
Do you know where I could find these Crimson Serpents?
I may do. I would ask for something in return.
Of course.
When you are free to, but do not take too long, I would like to meet with this group of friends you have made for yourself.
Okay.
If you have opportunity, please bring them here. I will show them hospitality. They will have safe passage through the Scarsridge Crew land. I will make sure Gutsa knows, and they can parlay with us. And
I consider them friends, and we've certainly fought alongside each other, but they do have varying loyalties. Some of them to the Mage Council, and some of them to other individuals and other groups. Joe,
imagine they
just be
do.
sure that you want me to bring them here.
Yes, don't worry.
Yeah.
There is only a few names that you mentioned that I don't actually recognize. The rest, I have at least heard of on the winds. But I'm interested in this group of yours. Seems fortuitous that you have gathered together for this seemingly ill-fated time. So many different things seem to be happening. It is affecting
Yes,
a lot
indeed.
of different peoples. These people that have gone missing, I will tell you now, there is a young child, well, a teenager, that's, I've heard, has managed to escape this Crimson Serpent gang. I know approximately where they can be found. But I would take your agreement that you would bring your friends here first. I can tell you where he is.
I missed that. Sorry, what was I missed that about the teenager. Sorry.
So there is a teen that has escaped recently from the Crimson Serpent.
Escaped from the Crimson Serpent.
Yeah. Obviously, that potentially that is a source of information for you. That he can tell you the approximate location of this person. But in return, he would like your agreement.
To bring
so basically
the others here.
To bring your friends,
Of
to
course.
him. Okay.
Thank you for your time, Nutboom. It's always lovely to see you.
I believe before you go, I believe talk to Gully again. I gave him something before all this kicked off. I gave him something to give to you. I did not know you would need it so soon. So speak with him again before you go and tell him that I said that you should have it now. Good day to you, Hendrix. And he starts just pouring himself another cup of tea.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to do in this area?
I think. No, I think he just kind of trots out. Maybe looking in with interest to see if he's the any new knickknacks or things that have appeared there on the way out. Just seeing as he's a regular there.
Yeah, absolutely. Make me a perception check. And just tell me if it's not going to pop up.
Perception.
Did it roll?
Did we lose Ben?
He's gone. No. Are you still there, Ben?
The rolling's burnt his computer out. Burnt the
That's it.
internet out.
It's internet out, yeah.
Algorithm of 1D20 has just kind of killed the processor.
Oh, no.
Did you turn to roll?
I think,
Oh, was that Ben?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Are you there, Ben?
No.
Oh,
No, he's
he's
gone.
gone.
Oh, no. It's gone. Okay. I'll get back to that.
Did you ask him to roll a perception check?
Yes.
Yeah,
If
it's
it
still
popped up on...
it's still trying to roll in D&D Beyond.
No worries. We'll wait to see if he comes back, and I'll continue with that after. But I'll flip back over to you guys.
I'd probably say it's going to be 24.
Yeah, probably. He does. I think perception is one of his
Reliable.
reliable talents. Yeah,
Yeah, of
potentially.
course it
So
is,
it's going to
yeah.
be at least 22, I think. At least.
No, he's got a plus
But
14
anyway.
bonus.
14.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
That's ridiculous.
Bruh. But that, yeah, we'll get back to that. Hang on, might not need to. You're right, bud.
I'm back.
I'm back from
Sorry.
outer space. That's okay. Don't
Yep.
worry. I won't get you to roll anymore. If
My
fact,
connection can't
well,
handle
no,
it.
yeah, maybe just roll a d20 on the on roll 20 if you have to do any future rolls.
Or
Okay.
or just use
Because it might be easier.
one of these physical things that are called
Dice.
dice. Yeah.
Shut up, Andy.
Nice.
What are they, Andrew?
Yeah, what's a dice?
Yeah, I
die.
No.
No worries. Oh, he's struggling again. Are
I
you
don't
still there,
even
Ben?
know where my dice are anymore.
Okay. You step out of the flat, and the little gang is there waiting for
Yep.
you. Just sort of offensively loitering as they do. And they go, "You're all right. Did you get everything you needed?"
Yes, thanks. That was great. I need. Boom said that Gully had something for me.
Really? Now? Oh, I was using it.
Now,
All right.
please.
Gully looks a little bit put out. He sulks a little bit, but then he gets over it quick. And he goes, "Come on, then, I'll show you." And he takes you. He leads the way out and down out of this block of flats to one of the many little sort of on the other side of this, not on the square side, on the outside of the flats. There's like little individual gardens. Largely they're used for growing just certain like herbs or things that aren't usually found in the mundane realm. A lot of like fey type fruit things, fast growing stuff. Nothing too wacky, but these are like overgrown areas as well. as a lot of places that you can sort of like run and hide in. The young goblins like to come and play around this sort of area. And Gully leads you down into one of these little gardens. And in, sort of like looking around, making sure nobody's watching, he goes, Newt Boom, he gave it to me to give to you. I didn't think it was going to be so soon, but you'll probably make better use of it than either. But I've got to
That's what
empty it
Newt
first,
said.
all right? And you see he sort of does this strange sort of, you know, when kids stand with their legs slightly apart and they start digging at the ground almost like a dog. He starts to like remove dirt from an area, and it makes like a hole in the ground. And as he's digging, you see at points his hand is like going into this hole of dirt and almost disappearing into it. And it takes just a few seconds, and he's dug out this little hole, and he goes, "Here you go," and looks really proud of himself. And you can see that there is a hole in the ground, but you can't see the bottom. It's almost like it's a black hole, 5 foot diameter hole. Luke Boom said to give you this. It's the Goblin hole. It got passed down from him. So, but here you go. I'm taking my stuff out of it though. So, and he digs his hand in. It goes all the way to the shoulder, and he starts pulling out a bunch of shit. And it's just sort of like clearly pilfered items. He just pulls out loads of stuff. And it's like watches, jewelry, a Nike bag, several mobile phones, some suspicious baggies, you know, that sort of stuff. And as he finishes, and he goes, right, I believe if you dig back over it, it's yours. And essentially what this does,
Right.
Ben, is it's an item, a magic item, and it is under the feats and traits. I will give you this feat as an item, and it is essentially a bag of holding, but it's just on any piece of dirt you can dig a hole for an action and bury something in it, and you cover it back over, and anywhere else in any realm you go to, you can undig that hole and have access to whatever you've put into it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's about you're just fed
So-
up with me not having any stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, well, it's they're smugglers. This is what they do. So this is how they
Brilliant.
get things in and out of Fairy without having to pass through customs and being searched.
That's very
Because it's
clever.
got a physical item. So you have been taught this. It is, for mechanics wise, it is an item. But essentially it is a fairy ability that has now been taught to you. Okay.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much. I'll thank Gully as well. And I say I'm very sorry you haven't got anywhere to put your stash now. If I
It's all
finish
right.
with it, I'll give it back to you.
You promise?
Promise.
All right. He puts his hand out.
We can share it, yeah? I'll have it for a little while and then I'll bring it back to you.
Deal.
Great.
That nothing bad can happen with making deals with the Fae. Nothing bad at all.
Yeah.
You dig back over this hole. It fills up
Mhm.
within 6 seconds. So for an action, you can
Okay.
hide it. Essentially, it only works in dirt, which Gully will
Yep.
explain to you. So if you're in a building, it's not going to work. You have to be outside. It
Yep.
doesn't obviously work in water. So there are restrictions to it, but
Okay.
it has the same capacity to hold up to a bag of holding. Okay.
Gotcha. Right.
No worries.
Brilliant.
Where do you wish to go next? Is there anything you wish to do whilst you were in the Scarsridge crew estate?
Where, because my internet crapped out again a bit. Where did he say this teenager was?
So he was outside the front talking with Gutsa. They
Oh.
were just having, yeah.
No,
They
that was the
were
one I
out.
saw on the way in.
Oh, sorry. Apologies. I thought that's the one you were talking about. This is getting very confusing. I apologize.
The escaped
There is
teenager, sorry.
the escaped teenager. He I'll say he gives you the directions now, but there is a time limit for you to bring your friends to him.
Oh, I
and
see.
Gu-
Was I supposed to
yeah.
bring them there first to get the information?
I think I left it a little bit open, to be fair.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't really define it in the moment, but I'll say for now you can have the directions if you want to go do that part of it first. But you owe Newt Boom a meeting with your friends.
Yes.
And yeah, cool.
No worries.
So I will say that he gives you the directions to um an area of London that's kind of like the creatives quarter.
Okay.
It's just a bunch of knick-knacky shops that have lots of homemade stuff in it and things like that. Lots of little workshops for crafty peoples and whatnot. And around that area there are a couple of fae that like to keep that area safe. It's not a gang by any means. It's just like another place that magical people tend to frequently visit on the landmarks of magical places within London. And I'd say it's somewhere South London-ish. Okay.
Okay.
So you can head back to, because this is the evening before the thing with the lodge happens. If you're just heading back to City Capoeira, you can say that you've done that, or you can tell me now if you wanted to go anywhere else.
No, I think I'll head back and regroup with everyone and then go from there.
Okay. So you see that during the evening, sorry, not during the evening, the next morning, you head back to City Capoeira. You can join everybody in the lodge as normal, unless anybody says that they're specifically barring Hendrix from entry. Darrell's just like, nah, no dogs allowed now.
Is he house trained?
So, is he no, fully not house trained. You head back to City Capoeira. You're muted, Ian. Sorry, bud.
I just said he's not allowed on the furniture.
All right, there you go. I like to think that the lodge has just like a dog bed in the living area, just for Hendrix. But yeah, you head back and you can impart that information if you have wanted to have that conversation. I'll allow that to happen now before we move on to the next morning where we were.
Okay.
So
the Crimson
teenager who escaped from the Crimson Serpents, who are a bunch of vampires, apparently.
Yeah, we're looking for them.
And they apparently this teenager knows where they are.
Do you have a name for this teenager?
you weren't given a name.
No,
I'd say you were given
a name.
You
but
were
I know
given
where he is. Maybe.
Yeah, you know roughly where he is, and I'd say New Boom gives you a rough description. That a young 14-ish-year-old human-looking boy, and was last seen by some of the goblins from the Scartridge crew heading towards this like creative district.
Well, when do we get this information?
The previous night, because
okay,
that is why I shall relay.
Okay.
Say
So
that again, Ben.
Invited to
You-
what?
Oh, no.
you,
You cut out again. Sorry.
You're cutting in and out badly, Ben.
Yeah. Also, you've all been invited to high tea with Newty Boom, the Goblin Charm. But I think we should. We've probably got some important things to deal with first. Although he might be quite helpful. He's a helpful chap.
right. But in the short term, I think we need to go because the Crimson Serpent.
There's a time limit.
Yeah, exactly who we're looking for. So we need to go and find this boy.
Yeah.
And we also, I mean, I can try and put off meeting with Mercy Ashcroft, but I think that needs to be done as well. So maybe I think Darrell and Liam were talking about coming to meet Mercy Ashcroft. Maybe the other three of you, and I've forgotten the lady's name who's sort of joined us.
Hey.
Tay.
Hey.
Maybe you guys go and find this teenage boy. First thing,
Seems fair.
First thing in the morning, yeah?
We probably need to
Okay.
get him in protection. I'm pretty
All right.
sure.
Yeah, these
Right.
Hulk
Crimson
won't want
Serpents
him
as bad as people
free.
say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to step away from the computer for a second. All right, guys. I'll be back in a sec.
No
Okay,
worries.
No worries.
Yeah, Liam, you would know that he definitely would need protection. They are almost certainly probably looking for him.
Mm.
Well, in that case, would it be better if I put off this meeting with Mercy Ashcroft, or do we
Which
just
one's
go?
Mercy Ashcroft again?
She's the council member who's asked. I've worked for her before. She's asked me to give her a report, and initially Darrell and Liam were talking about coming along, but maybe I go on my own while the rest of you go and retrieve this boy, or maybe I put off Mercy Ashcroft, or maybe
The Mage Council can wait.
I don't know.
It'd be
I
more
think
better if you had more information.
I think it's quite important that we meet this Mercy Ashcroft. There's so much going on. She might have some more information. For example, Hendrix has just gone off and found something. There's no reason why she can't have some more important information into the plot that's going on. I think it's important that we go off and do that as well, but we don't all have to go.
There's no advantage in keeping the Mage Council out of this, and only benefit.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
they did really well when it was London.
No, I completely get where you're coming from, Cadman. Although I also agree with Liam. Baron, you can go on your Todd for this, can't you?
I can do. Yeah.
Can you do it by phone, or does it have to be
No,
face
she
to
wants
face?
she wants a physical meeting, and I'm
Right.
due to meet her tomorrow morning. It's I think it's about an 8 a.m. breakfast meeting for
Oh, right.
at the hotel. So
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
potentially we could all go there. I could meet her, and then we could all go on, meet her quickly for 20 minutes, give her an update, or I and some of us, whoever wants to meet her. I'm conscious some of you don't want to actually meet her, but
I think we'd better go after this boy first, urgently as well.
To be fair, an 8 o'clock meeting is not going to take you out of the loop for too long, so do the meeting. It might give us some advantage, and you're going to lose maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours
afterwards, if you can, when you can. I was going to come to the meeting, but the idea of possibly bumping into some vampires after this boy, I don't think I'm very interested in the Mages Council all of a sudden. Do you know?
yeah, I get that. Darrell, what do you want to do?
So, just as a OC, sorry, Ian, just as an OC piece of information, especially for Liam, it is obviously daytime. tomorrow when you're meeting with the Mercy Escrow, just to give you an idea. Vampires and such. Although there are some vampires, weaker ones, much weaker, that can be in the daytime. They will often stick to shadowed areas if they're not very powerful, which are kind of negligible in power. Yeah, use that information as you will. Okay.
There's a chance for
Sorry, Ian.
vampires to be killed.
Yeah, I'm interested in the meeting with Mercy. That's
Right.
the only thing is. Sorry, Ben. Did Hendrix tell us about the Fey protection that this kid might have? Oh, he stepped away, isn't he?
Stepped away.
Yeah.
I think he said he was
Yeah.
relaying
Okay.
everything, so I'm assuming so.
Yeah. So Nuke Boom gave a obviously the direction of this place. Hendrix will likely share with you that he knows of some Fey, like a family of a very small family of Fey that kind of have their protection over this specific area. There is somebody there that he knows called Hush, that is kind of the more well-known person, that is like an elven young man, or he seems to be young, but obviously in the way that the Fae work, that doesn't truly mean anything. So Hush is the name that you get for the person who would be offering the protection of this teen, and yeah, I think that's all you get.
Have I ever heard of Hush?
Yes, make me a history check. Point. It's potentials there. And in fact, I will let. I think actually everybody can, if anybody is interested in that name, I think anybody can roll for me. History check.
I keep that history roll that I did before.
No. I'm sorry. Okay. Andy, did you roll? Or
I did, but it's not turned up. I think I need to refresh. But
no?
it did not roll properly. Hang on a sec. Let me try again. Right, it's not rolling properly. Hang on a sec.
No worries. Have you tried those
Roll
physical?
Sorry, total of 13.
13. Okay.
Yes, Andrew.
Darrell, your knowledge of Fae that might be in London does extend to the name Hush. You have heard of a Fae that has lived in London with a small members of his family. You vaguely remember something about him being one of the displaced Fae. So he is somebody that isn't part of the current families within Fairy. Maybe one of the old ones that are no longer part of the main powerhouses. An old house, that is to say.
Okay.
And likely because he's living in London and in the mundane realm, potentially that he's not allowed back into Fairy for reasons, or he's just chosen to live there. Raphy, Raphy, you've been to the hotel, haven't you?
Yeah, several
Yeah.
times.
So I think you've heard of Hush through the hotel. You've seen him there. I'd say you've seen him there once. You didn't speak to him or anything, but you sort of just in your awareness of being around at the time. He was there during a performance of one of the bands that was playing there at the time, a band called Wild Child. This person is a fae, but elven, and looks quite young. In fact, I can give you the picture, so I'll just share it with everybody. But this is the person that you've seen, so you'll be able to actually identify him rather than just by name. Where is he? Which is the other? Sorry. I have too many NPCs, guys.
No, you over prepping never
I
happens.
know. Well, not over prepping, just over stuff. Oh, it's not on here. Why is it not on here?
Tom, just while Bee's refreshing her memory, what was it? Can you refresh mine on what it is to link up, to resynchronize beyond 20?
I just hit features and traits.
Okay.
So
Just go into features and traits.
yeah,
Just click on it.
features and traits, and it should just come up with a little green bar at the top of the old page
Of
saying
the
that it's linked. Of the Roll20 page, not the Roll20, sorry, the D&D Beyond page.
Sorry about this,
So
guys.
refresh D&D Beyond. Just click on, and then when that's refreshed, click on features and traits, and it should sync.
refresh. I didn't do the refresh first.
Yeah.
Lost Ben out of the Roll20.
Oh, is he gonna?
Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's back.
Okay, for some reason that didn't save, so let's just make a quick handout. And let my computer decide to take a million years to do it. Yes, you saw this person. I say the only thing that's different from the picture I'm about to show you is that on his throat, shimmering almost iridescently in the light sometimes as it catches it, looks almost to be kind of like a tattoo, like just across the front of his throat, kind of in like geometry style, shapes. Here is the person we're talking about. This is Hush, and he's got pointed ears. Just realised he doesn't have it in there.
Hidden by hair.
Hidden by hair, totally.
He looks like a twat, doesn't he? So he's bound to have pointed ears.
So, wow, the racism. The thing you do notice about him and the interactions he had with others whilst he was in the hotel is that he is mute. He doesn't talk. He instead communicates via cantrips, which he uses minor illusion to speak simple sentences. So he almost uses sign language as his thematic component for that spell, and it will communicate. So you could talk to him, and he'll communicate that way, as a note.
How does he do verbal components to spells?
He doesn't need to. Okay, so that's the information you know about Hush. Is that you've met him once at the thing. Other than that, you don't know much else. And obviously, Darrell, you had that information about the houses that you could know because it's linked in part to your background sort of knowledge. Okay. You can continue discussing your plans or tell me what it is that you wish to do.
So I think from the sounds of it, it's just Darrell and myself going to meet Mercy Ashcroft, and the other four are going to try and find this Hush guy to then find from him the person who was escaped from the Crimson Serpents.
Okay. Perfect. So the next morning comes around, and because this conversation would have taken place in the evening before, so Andy and Ian, you're heading off to Mercy Ashcroft.
Meet
We'll
you at the
continue
hotel,
that because we'll continue that now quickly because that was where we left off last time, halfway in between that. So
But hang on a sec. Aren't you going to go and look? Where are you looking for this guy? Hush. Is it in the hotel as well, or you just Raphy had seen him in the hotel?
I've
Raphy had
seen him in the hotel.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've now got a visual. I could recognise him in the street type thing.
Okay.
Apologies.
Before we leave the others, I will just simply say, actually, I think it's Raphy is the only one who's got a phone. So, because I don't think Liam uses a phone. I think it's just Raphy, Darrell, and Erin who use phones. So, I'll say to Raphy, every time you move to you go to a different location, send us a text message of where you're going, and we'll if we leave the hotel, we'll tell you where we're going to try and meet up as soon as possible.
Sure. Makes sense.
Yeah. Don't send us a message when you get there. Send us a message when you're on your way to there.
Yes, that. Anything else?
No, it was merely a suggestion.
Okay. So, we'll start off Mercy Ashcroft just to give you a recap. We'll just gloss over because this has actually already happened. The only difference is Liam is not present now, which we can retcon. It's absolutely fine because we didn't get too far into the conversation before we had to clock out. So, Baron and Darrell both meet with Mercy Ashcroft in the hotel. It is on one of the meeting rooms there that is provided. She meets you there. She has with her personal bodyguard, which is a human woman that I think both of you might recognize as just somebody that is Baron would recognize, I should say, as a personal security member. This person isn't like Order of the Shield or Star or anything like that, just somebody who is well, you don't know if they're magically inclined, but they're just a bodyguard that acts in lieu of Baron most of the time. And she's sort of a woman in her sort of mid-40s that just stands behind Mercy Ashcroft, sort of overseeing things. And then there was a gentleman there. Again, I'd completely forgotten about that. I needed to put this on there, so I don't have a picture, I'm afraid. But rather sickly-looking, gaunt man, very ashy face, sort of ashen face, I should say. Bags under his eyes. He looks quite drawn and pale. Dark eyes, dark hair. It's kind of look like it's a little bit unkempt, but he's there with his suit on. In the meeting room.
We didn't get a name. We didn't get a name last time.
You were literally just asking him for his name, and Mercy will pick up there. So Mercy turns towards this gentleman and goes. She says, "My apologies. I neglected to introduce my companion here. This is Randall McDo. He is a friend that I have been working with under some information for a few months now concerning matters."
Did you say Randall McDo?
Randall McDo. I shall put the name in here. Randall.
You've been working with him for several months on certain matters, and those are
Yes.
relevant to the situation currently in London.
Yes, very much so. Randall sort of addresses you both, and he says, "Pleasure to meet you. I've been working with Miss Ashcroft for some time now. I am a divinator, and not a particularly strong one, but I had some information for Miss Ashcroft a little while ago, and it seems that some of these predictions that I made have come to pass. But the information that I believe Miss Ashcroft oh, I think we've lost a Ben now fully.
He's lost from roll 20 as well.
Yeah, he's really struggling with it.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's back. The information that I've got for you is that there is seemingly a plot against those with divinatory power, and my life is in danger. Mercy, Miss Ashcroft, I should say, sorry, has seen fit to give me her protection in exchange for some information. But the omens don't look good, if I say so myself.
The omens for yourself?
During one, there are some portents that I have gleaned that may relate to yourself, actually, Mr. Baron, and your friend here. There have been, and he kind of holds his head, and you can see he's struggling to sort of conjure this information. Do you mind? He looks towards Mercy Ashcroft, who sort of just nods encouragingly and indicates that he should continue. Last year, I don't usually receive visions. I went into the divinatory arts as a more of a knowledge-based practice. I'll be honest. Nothing in my family indicated that we might be particularly inclined towards divination, but I dipped my toe into it. And last year I started having visions, which has been rather unpleasant. Many seem to indicate that a great calamity is to befall us soon. And certain things that have happened very recently have matched up with some of the symbolism that I've managed to scry from these visions, such as old demons. I believe there recently some ancient jinn have been released into the world. This was the first sign. I had a vision of a symbol complex, and he's got this notebook that he brings out and he starts flicking through it, and you can see there's like scribbles and drawings in this notebook of bits and pieces, just all like, some of it just doesn't make sense. It's just like all scribbles, almost like that spirit writing thing that happens sometimes when you're trying to communicate with the other side and things
does
like
he
that.
have the symbol that he's seen?
Yes, and he sort of gets to that page and he turns it around towards you. And this is a symbol that both of you have seen before. I will share it again because it was a handout way back in the day. Back when we started this adventure. And now I'm not going to be able to find it. Here we go. On the jar that Prince Jadba and his Ifrit soldiers were released from, there was a symbol on it. And this is it. This is the symbol. Though his is a very rough sketch of it, it's quite identifiable because of the aspects of it in there. I don't know what it means, but after I saw this symbol a few times, I then began to feel and see monsters. Is the only thing that I can describe. Great hulking shadow things that loomed in the dark and took over people's minds, forcing them to act against their will for the purposes of I don't know, but there have been some worrying links with these demons, these shadow creatures, with other things that have come to pass, such as, well, there are fewer divinators recently in Britain. As far as we can see, we know of at least 5 that have shown divinationary powers. Those of the sight and visions and oracles that have died prominently. Lilith, Councillor Lilith Knight. She was a powerful divinator herself. And the wounds shown on her body seem to indicate that it was one of these creatures. Along with these visions, I have seen faces of yourself, symbols as well, but some identifiable parts. I can definitely say your, forgive me, it's going to sound daft, but auras are attached to this in some way.
Well, myself and Darrell here and several other of our companions were at Lord Renwick's house when the jar that symbol was on was broken, and some Ifrit, some jinn were released.
Aye, that's what I've been told, and he looks towards Mercy Ashcroft, who nods, because this is obviously information that has already been given.
Yep. And so Councillor Lilith Knight was a divinator. She was killed in the same way as the circle spirit at the Skerries, and that we believed was done by jinn. And so, was the circle spirit at the Skerries? There's been attacks on circle spirits. So, are circle spirits often divinators?
No, I mean, depends on the circle spirit, I suppose, but they're very powerful beings that hold the essence of everything that is magical in the world along ley lines, so that it is not chaotically thrown around all place. It is also the have you heard of the God Ward?
Remind me.
It's the network of circle spirits and ley lines are there to protect the mundane realm from interference from the heavens and the hells. The whole point of it is to keep celestials and fiends where they belong. To get a fiend as powerful as what I am divining, this great beast, it is worrying how it has come to be in this realm and bypass this God Ward. But it may be the reason why the circle spirits have been attacked.
I look at Darrell and see if he's got anything to add.
It's interesting to say that you feel we're linked to the to this demon. We had some suspicion that the attack on the stranger was in some way linked to keeping us away, trapping us in a pocket realm. That might just be their own aggrandizement, our own importance, I guess. But you're saying we're linked makes me feel that might not be quite such a fantasy.
No, I think you're very linked. I don't know why or how, but I think that whatever it is that is to come, you may have information or you may gain information later on that may be crucial to stopping whatever it is to come. I have seen something terrible. The unmaking of the realms. Everything thrown into chaos.
And would demons benefit from that?
He looks towards Mercy Ashcroft, who intercedes and goes, "We are not sure. From what McDo has said, some of these visions and gleaned informations that he has, it seems as if even demons will suffer at the hands of this, and we can't figure out what it is that is causing this, where it is coming from, and what purpose it serves. The reason I have asked for you here today is, firstly, I need to ensure that anything I say within this room does not go any further except beyond to your team.
Okay.
It is of the highest secrecy, even to other members of the Mage's Council.
Okay. You can rely on me to forget it.
Yes, I can. She kind of gives a look towards Darrell to see his response to this. And in fact, I'm going to get you to just describe for me, Darrell, if you are hiding any of your sort of thought processes, your emotional sort of response to this at all, and if you are, sort of roll either persuasion or deception for me, and I can roll an insight, or you can just be open, and I will assume that she is on board with what you are, your openness, as it were.
I think it's going to catch me a bit off guard that she doesn't want the rest of the council. I'll try and cover it up, but there will be an element of what?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. She kind of she addresses it. She says the reason for the secrecy is that the wrong information in the wrong hands could mean the difference between these portents coming to pass or them being foiled. I need your assurance that this information won't go any further before I can impart this.
I can understand the need for secrecy where we don't know who we can trust necessarily, but this level of internecine politics from the outside feels to me why no one trusts the Mage Council, because they can't trust themselves. But in this one very important place, I will abide by your request.
Thank you, Mr. Knight.
Are you lecturing a member of the Mage Council?
Oh
No,
yeah,
he doesn't care.
Love it.
She absolutely, as soon as you mentioned this, people don't trust the Mage Council, she does visibly bristle, but she doesn't say anything, and her tone of voice doesn't change at all. She's quite adept at dealing with arseholes.
She's not,
no,
she's not denying it either, is she?
of course not. She knows what is politics. She says, right. The reason for the secrecy is some of these portents from the other side of things seem to indicate involvement from members of the Mage's Council in this, whatever it is that is happening. Now, I realise that I am the newest member of the Senior Mage's Council, and I have not built the same trust and reputation as others of my peers. However, I feel that it is still my duty to investigate this visions. And if it is true, then we must do our utmost to prevent it from happening. I trust that Randall has told me everything truthfully, and I trust his word and what he has said.
For clarity, we were talking about other members of the Mage Council. Is it right, therefore, that High Enchanter Fitzwarren is implicated in some way?
Roll an insight. Andy, you can roll an insight check too.
I've still got problems with D&D Beyond, so I'll just roll D20. And
roll D20 on Roll20, or roll it in Realsies. And
I have no fucking clue.
Cool.
Me neither.
For both, she doesn't seem to respond at all. She says, I believe that's the current matter, and it would be interesting to know what it is that you know about that situation. Does not have any direct connection to this issue. That is a separate, as I believe it, issue. Though things do seem to be happening coincidentally and in matters of fate and divination, I do not believe coincidence are a thing. So I do not know.
Just to say, I don't think Baron's been told about this stuff, so I think Baron's looking very confused at the moment.
Yeah. What is it, Mr. Knight, did you have heard about the matter with High Enchanter Balthazar?
Merely rumours about his disappearance and the fact that he is under suspicion for some misdoing.
Well, I can set your mind at ease. He has not disappeared. He is very much with us. He is simply taking a break from his duties whilst an investigation is going on. But he is still present. He is, I believe, currently within his home.
Where's that?
I'm not at liberty to say.
Okay.
You know that especially those on the senior council have highly secretive. I mean, you know where Mercy lives, but you are one of very few that do. And they often live in out in the country in a very highly warded estate that is just a big mansion somewhere usually.
Okay.
Yeah. From some of the Mage's families that you may have visited, they do tend to like their big houses out in the country somewhere, or even sometimes in pocket realms, little realms. That is to say, not like Care City, which is almost like an island of a place.
Okay.
They usually like a as if you were just going to stick a house and its grounds around it inside a pocket realm, and it's accessed only by those that have the key to it, as it were, for safety, because there are all manner of things that would love to see the downfall of the Mages Council leadership, because for various different reasons, and that's just the best way to keep them protected.
Again, for clarity, I do have some connection with the High Enchanter's brother. If you're saying that this isn't connected, I don't need to be suspicious of instruction or information I get from him.
I'm
Obviously,
assuming you are talking about Captain Mortimer. The captain is not under suspicion at all, and any direction from him, as he is the captain of the Order of the Shield, continue to act as you are with the Order of the Shield. I do not wish for them to gain any whiff of change of suspicion against any of them. This may not be linked to the Order of the Shield or the Star, but certainly there have been some indication that members of the Order, members of the Mages Council, that could be any people within the Mages Council, not just the Shield and Star. That could also extend to the junior and senior councillors. I would like to think that it has nothing to do with either of those, though I'm not so naive to think that it is beyond the possibility. She does look quite tense at the idea of it. It's quite upsetting to her, the thought that a corruption of that level could happen within the Mages Council. She's a diehard fan, So,
Mr. McDoo,
I
in your dreams and prophecies and visions and so on, has there been anything that might relate to a vampire faction called the Crimson Serpent?
he starts flicking through his book and he goes, Crimson Serpent.
And I'm going to turn, while he's looking things up, I'm
Crimson.
going to turn to Mercy Ashcroft and say, what can you tell us of this group?
She says, from my knowledge, it was a group that was taken care of a long time ago. They operated around Britain. They had some areas of London that they were in, had control of at certain points, never for too long. They don't seem to be particularly on the radar. However, if Randall has any information, as she's saying this, Randall has found this image that he's found, and he turns it towards you both. You both don't actually recognize it, but on the piece of paper there is it's drawn in with like red ink, red like biro, where obviously he's done things in different colors to get the correct thing, but it looks like a serpent, a very roughly drawn serpent, that's just been sketched over and over and over to make the rough shape of a thing. And he goes, "Would this be anything linked to this group?" Mercy Ashcroft kind of looks over and she goes, it is quite possible that this then indicates, this is one of the symbols that then indicates. What is it that you have heard about the Crimson Serpents?
Someone we are trying to find has been possessed by some kind of demon and is involved, and there are all kinds of gangs associated with demons searching for him. We're trying to find this young man before they do, and our understanding is that he is has been taken by the Crimson Serpent, that is operating still in London, and he is their prisoner, I believe. And the rest of our group is currently chasing down a contact who may have escaped from the Crimson Serpent,
Right.
and may therefore know
They,
their location, how to find them.
they may also be involved with the disappearance of Bountiful Harvest. Was that not out of
What-
character? Was that not what
So
Cadman saw?
So Cadman saw the moment where the ritual circles were being attacked. Obviously, the stranger had been killed, and at least Bountiful Harvest was being affected by some ritual, which he showed a vision to Cadman and by proxy then Liam through that vision thing. That the Bountiful Harvest hasn't been taken. His magic has been sapped away, so he can't manifest. So he is
Right.
weakened to the point of being dormant.
Right,
And
okay.
he has only been able to communicate with Cadman so far.
Fair enough. I got confused with the imagery because I
Yeah,
thought there was
that's all
something vampiric about that ritual. But okay.
There was, so Cadman did see that within this ritual that was being done, it appeared to be Ozzy was there, and some vampires. So you
Right,
are
okay.
correct
So,
in that,
yeah.
but they haven't taken him. That's the only
Yeah, fair
clarification
enough.
I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Which then you can explain both
Yeah.
Mercy and do. So you think that the vampires have caused the problems with the ritual circles?
I don't think we know. We're chasing down this lead because this seemed to be one that was going somewhere.
Right.
We've no idea. So we've had we've had an encounter with these djinn. We've had various. There's reports of various murders they've committed. There's there's trouble going on between various demon-connected gangs. But and we've had some encounters with some of them, but that's sort of on the periphery. The thing that seems to be everyone's obsessed by trying to find this young man who's possessed. So we're trying to get there first to understand what he's possessed by, what is going on. It could turn out that the vampires are trying to stop this. No idea. Yeah.
But Randall kind of looks a little bit surprised at the idea, but then seems to kind of go, I mean, it's not out of the realms of
Well,
possibility.
that's why I asked if the demons will survive. Because
Right.
it doesn't sound to the vampires' advantage to disrupt the status quo as much as your prophecies seem to indicate.
So during the vision, this is an out character thing. During the vision that Cadman and Liam witnessed, it does seem to be that the demon that is inhabiting Ozzy was interacting with the vampires in a collaborative sense.
Okay.
But it was a very short vision of that.
Mhm.
Obviously,
Okay, so
you don't have a great deal of information about it.
sorry to correct a misunderstanding. Then yes, they are. As explained to them, to Mercy and Randall, that it does appear to be there's collaboration between this demon that's possessing this boy. By the way, just be very clear. At no point am I mentioning Ozzy's name. I just keep referring to him as a boy.
That's fair.
There's collaboration between this demon-possessed boy and the vampires. So,
Mercy, unless have you finished?
yes.
Mercy says, I understand that this is a very delicate situation that I have put you in, and I am both as a member of the Senior Mages Council and as a member of the Magical Society within Britain, asking you to put yourself and your team in a potential state of risk in finding out more information about this. However, I currently cannot. I do not have the resources to find out any further information myself, and I do not wish to alert anyone else within the Mages Council. And here she turns to Darrell and says, including Captain Mortimer, about the suspicions we have. Randall, if you could. And Randall sort of starts flicking through his book again. He gets to near the end of his sort of scribblings, and he's got a lot of symbols that don't really make a great deal of sense to you. They're almost like tea leaf type symbols. Like there's a rough shape of a shield. There's a rough shape of a flower. There's a rough shape of this, that, and the other, a cross. This, that, and the other, right? And he's saying, right, so very mixed signals, but our concern is that a faction, perhaps, or peoples acting on their own accord are working together with whatever this demon or other party of whoever it is doing this have been working towards this goal for a while now and are gearing up for big changes. One of those things being the lockdown of Fairy. And Mercy says, unfortunately, that is a step that we have had to take due to certain events. And she nods towards Beren. One of those events being the breach of the ICC, which you were present for during that meeting that day. That has its own investigations going on, and this is where things start to overlap. Some of these symbols, some of these visions are indicating that there is help from people within the Mages Council, but also potentially Fairy, some factions in Fairy potentially, and strangely celestial, small celestial involvement, but we have no other indications towards any other information about that. I'm hoping that you and your team, if I were to give you resources discreetly, it would be limited resources because of the discretion needed, that you could do further investigations, keep whatever it is that you are doing now. Who is it that you are currently reporting to? Is it simply Mortimer that you report directly to regarding your help as an auxiliary service for the shield?
Andy, can't remember.
I generally report through Sergeant Spence Clemens.
Spencer Clemens, right?
Yes, my relationship with Captain Mortimer is a little fraught at times. I find it easier to use an intermediary.
Understandable.
Did we? Sorry, out of character. Did we just set off on this? I think we set off on this just because Raphy asked us to because his mate was missing.
Yes, but it also seemed to be linked with the request from Mortimer, which was that fiend stuff is happening,
Yeah.
and we need all hands on deck to crack down on stuff.
That was it. Right. So I should say, if there's some sort of resources you can add, then that would be greatly appreciated, particularly if you have anything that can be used for combating vampires.
I think anything that specific would be very difficult to come by. I could offer you
It's a thing called the
monetary.
Holy Symbol of Ravenkind or something.
I believe that's part of some weird geek game that nerds play.
Create sunlight or something.
I'm afraid that I can't request such specific items without giving an explanation for them. However,
I was more
if you
thinking
were
things you
to be
might
able
have in your own personal possession.
My family has a store of artifacts, however, not necessarily relating to that. I don't believe I will be able to help you. However, monetarily, I could potentially, or even links, if you were to use, if you have to use my name to bypass certain things, I would say use it sparingly.
That's not being influence such as influence such as yours has not been relevant at all so far in this investigation. It's much more street based, but I will bear that in mind. But in my group, we have one who is experienced at hunting vampires, which is
that is fortuitous.
Yeah, which is beneficial, and all the others have various talents. But you say you have a stockpile of artifacts. If there are things from there that you could give or lend to us that would aid us in a fight with anyone, they're not necessarily strictly vampires, I think that would be beneficial. We are a tough and well-equipped team, but anything to boost that.
Tools would help. Make me a persuasion check just to see how willing she is to give you how much.
As I have a long-standing relationship with her, can I pitch for advantage?
I will allow you to pitch for advantage. You can roll with advantage.
So the 13 and the natural 20 off the advantage.
Okay, all right.
With a bonus on my perception of.
Okay, I've got an idea.
Sorry, my persuasion is actually +8. I'm quite good at it. I've forgotten
that. She nods and she goes, okay. If I am to, I've already started down this rabbit hole. There is truly no need to backtrack on myself. I will endeavor to collect some items that may be of use to you. I will not be able to give you to you just yet, so you will have to wait for a while. But I will get those to you as soon as I can.
Okay. Honestly, unless there's anything urgent you need further discuss with us, seeing as the remainder of our group is currently chasing down a boy who may be being hunted by vampires, Darrell and myself, I think we'll both be keen to go and back them up. Sorry, was that a cop in character or was that?
Yeah, I was doing that.
No, sorry, it wasn't. Only I wish it was because I'm.
She agrees, and she herself explains that she has other meetings to attend to. She can't be seen to be disappearing for too long without explanation. Bearing in mind the fact that you're actually meeting in the hotel and not one of the embassies would draw suspicion as well. She tells you, she asks that you do not state that you've had this meeting, obviously, and that you have not met with anybody called Randall McDo. It
Well, the
seems that she's
reception here
keeping
knows
him.
that we were meeting with you and party.
She explains that she has a good relationship with the owner,
Okay, that's fine.
and
Right.
that is
To cut a long story short,
not a concern.
yeah. I think unless Darrell's got anything further, I think we're making our exit.
Making your exit, excellent.
Okay, and getting outside the hotel. The moment we're outside the hotel, checking phone to see if there's a message from Raphy saying we are here. But then obviously you need to solve where they've gone.
I will move over to the other team, but as I'm describing things for the other team, can you both roll me, if you wish to, perception if you were looking at that book as to any other things you may have seen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Perfect, do that. Back to the rest of you. Liam, Cadman, Raphy, and I'm assuming Hendrix you're going with too. Because
Yep.
you know the direction and everything of buddy.
What book?
You start heading off to what book? He was just at an awkward angle from where you were sitting, and you weren't able to gain anything. Plus, it was just random fucking scribbles. Andy, I will get back to you at the end. The rest of you start making your way towards this location that Hendrix knows where to go. It takes you. Are you just traveling by public transport, or I think you have a van, don't you? Yeah, Raphy has a van.
Yeah, Raphy
Yeah,
has a van.
so
Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine.
Parking in London,
yeah, so
nightmare.
it all depends on whereabouts that this boy was seen and how close to public transport, etc.
I'm not going to make things that difficult for you. You are able to get there in good time if you have your own transport. It would have taken a little bit longer by public, but yeah, that's just the only reason.
Van.
Van, you hop in the mystery machine and scoot off. Kay is with you, just to clarify, and unless you say otherwise, because at any point, if you wish for her to disappear, she can just piss off and do her own thing. Obviously, she will be doing her own investigations. You head off towards this little crafty district that is in the south of London somewhere. And there's a location there. It is a location that's quite interesting to those of the magical society. It's usually a place that non-mage council members can get magical components and things like that. Plus, just crafted items. Certain things that are made by those of a magical inclination. You might be able to get some trinkets and bits and pieces there. And you know that the person in charge of this area or has the protection of this area is Hush. As you enter, it's just like a really nice little kitschy new age markety area. Hendrix, I believe passive perceptions are high in this group, isn't it? I don't think Hendrix is ridiculous by himself.
I think I'm on like 18 and 19 as a base.
Yeah,
mine's pretty basic.
Yeah, but I think Hendrix is something like 24,
crazy.
something like that. Yeah,
Behrens is also really high, but he's
20.
not present. That's the other one you're thinking of.
Yeah, that must be it. So you guys make your way down there, and Hendrix, you are keeping an eye out and sniffing around for familiar scents as well.
Head out the window. Tongue.
Oh, you've already parked up. Yeah, that was on the way. You've parked up now. You've managed to find somewhere. Very lucky.
Right, okay.
And you are walking through this markety type area, and you see there are a few people just meandering around around near a particular stall. and that leads into a shop. Actually, it's like a stall that's outside of a shop area, and you can see that there is a few elven people here. The rest seem to be human. These seem to be elven. Possibly a good place to start.
Okay. Sorry, was that me that
Literally
spotted that, or was it just? Was
Yeah, you
everyone
could
know
have
that?
led people there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'll elves over there. Let's start there.
Sweet. Just wander on over.
They're standing there. They're just anything catch your eye? You see that there's stalls of trinkets and like beaded jewelry, things like that.
Oh, just like there's so much here to actually look and enjoy, man. You know, there's just beautiful. You know.
Thank you. There's a woman that is sort of manning this post, as it were. Is there anything that particularly catching your eye?
Yeah, so I'm looking for something from a friend. He's kind of lost his way, so he needs a new direction. You know, something to help guide him on the right path. Basically, I
Sounds
want
like
to
you're...
tap into all the stuff which I've heard my mother say. Get that sort of hippie vibe going.
Oh, the hippie vibe going, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like your friend could do with maybe a reading. How about some tea leaves? Can help. We've got special blends out the back.
That would be tight. Thank you very much.
Um,
I'm trying to track him down. Just like I say, he's lost his way. He's in fact gone off on his own as
oh,
well.
you have lost a friend. You are
Well,
searching for somebody.
yeah, he's searching for something, and I'm searching for him. So to find him, to help him, you know, it's all combined.
Okay, make me a deception check.
Yeah, do you know what? I don't think I'm being deceptive. I'm just being evasive.
Okay.
Because Ozzy is lost. He has lost his way, and and he needs to find his way back. So I'm not being deceptive at all.
Okay. She goes out the back and comes back with a thing of tea leaves. And says, I can this for all intents and purposes, she's offering this for about 5 silver. Just seems like a normal thing of tea leaves.
That's fine.
If there's anything I can help with.
Yeah, maybe. You know, last I heard he was talking about some sort of red snakes, crimson reptiles. Does that ring a bell with anything?
She does immediately start to look at you with suspicion. I don't think that I've heard anything about that. One of the other members of the stall, she sort of like glances towards. He sort of like ducks out towards the back. And somebody else sort of stands in the doorway. Like comes out from inside the shop and stands in the doorway, just sort of like crosses his arm, just sort of like watching the interaction you're having. And she says,
Is there?
Can't say I do. Sorry, go ahead.
Is there any way that I can slip through? Slip
what?
like
Trying to sneak in.
Yeah, like
Make
I
me
don't
a
know if
stealth.
like. Okay.
Yep, stealth check.
Did we have any description of the boy that we are?
Yeah, Raphy could have given you a description of. Well, no, sorry, not the boy that's missing.
Not of Ozzy, of the boy that's escaped the Crimson Serpent that we're hunting for.
A very rough description of sandy brown hair, 14 years old.
I had heard of the 14 years old boy.
Yeah.
to any effing
Yeah.
orcs.
Quite pale, pointed features, but human.
But who you're searching for at the moment is Hush, who's supposed to be aiding him, correct?
Right.
Yep.
And that's someone
Hush
that
doesn't seem to be present, but well, not in this scene at the moment because it hasn't been asked. But yeah.
Would Hush be known as kind of a person to ask for? And
I believe from the roles you had, you don't really know much about his dealings here. You do know that he has his protection here, so it's a good bet that maybe people do come here to ask about him, for him. It's not like a secret,
yeah,
so
I'll chip in and say, "Oh, yeah, I was looking for a guy. I was looking to speak to Hush.
she raises her
Do
eyebrow.
do you know his whereabouts? I was told he operates around here.
24. Okay. Oh yeah, I got to do a roll on my end. Hang on. So my rolls don't seem to be working. Hang on. Oh yeah. Okay, it has.
did you
Right.
see
Yeah.
Hendrix's stealth roll in the chat?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm resolving now. Hendrix, you are able to slip by completely unnoticed, and follow this other elf man that has wandered back into the shop before this other elf gentleman sort of comes into the doorway and crosses his arm. Liam, as you mentioned, Hush. She kind of looks at you, sort of gives a quizzical eyebrow, and says, "Oh, you wanted to talk to Hush? Oh, why didn't you say? I can go get him. Can I ask what it's concerning?"
It's a personal matter.
I think he's going to make.
It's about helping some folk.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about what skills they have. She says, "Swift, do you mind just keeping an eye on the stall a second? Be back in a moment."
We've basically got some business that we could. He could.
I'll go ask him. And she goes out the back, but yeah, basically your way is being barred currently until she comes back. Hendrix, you follow this other elven man all the way to the back, and it kind of winds quite far back. You get the feeling that this shop is bigger on the inside, and it goes quite a bit far backwards. You end up going past places which is now no longer a shop. Keeping that stealth roll, you sort of like just trot along behind quietly. And the elven man comes up to an area where there are like store boxes of things, which obviously is probably for the shop, but it's like a storage area, but also creates this space that is a little bit unseen by anybody coming in. And there are a couple of voices talking amongst themselves in this room. And the young elven man, sort of, that you've been following, comes up to this area, and just as he's sort of ducked his head in, he goes, "Psst, we might have trouble. There's somebody talking about snakes and shit. I think maybe some of the I think the vampires are here. You need to move him now." And there is a young man who you don't recognize, a young elven lad with scruffy blonde hair and pointed ears, and an iridescent tattoo across his neck that jumps up, makes a motion with his hand, and says, "Move." You hear "move" in the air as this spell goes off. you see propped against some boxes that look like store boxes, like old china chest things. There is a young boy, around roughly 14 years old, who looks really unwell. His breathing is labored. He's got like black veins up the side of his face, and he's struggling to kind of stay conscious. He's sweating. He looks really unwell. Two other people that are also in this room with this elven boy with the tattoo hoist this young man up and sort of half carry him, and they're about to lead further into the
Can
and
I?
that's when absolutely, you can maybe do something before I end the scene.
I was just gonna step out and say, "Hi, can you just wait a minute? We're not with the vampires, but we are trying to find them. I think we might be on the same side here." Okay.
Make a persuasion check. In fact, unfortunately, I'm going to say it's with disadvantage.
Okay. Because talking dogs are well known to hang out with vampires.
Less that, more the fact that their friend has just come in and said there's vampires outside.
Yeah, fair enough.
Somebody asking about serpents.
Persuasion at disadvantage. Hold on. I think I'm just gonna have to roll it twice because I'm. Okay, that's not too impressive. And we'll try again. And that's even worse. 9.
9. We will end today's session there. But you see everybody turning towards you as you are no longer in stealth, and Hush, as you don't know it's Hush, but the young elven person with the tattoo on his neck turns towards you and is about to release a spell, and that is where we're going to leave it.
Hang on a second. Can't you roll? Like the minimum you can roll is like 10 because of rogue reasons.
That's if he's proficient. If he's not proficient in persuasion.
Yeah, I don't think I.
Not a +0 on your roll.
Yeah, no.
So.
One
Thank
of the
you very
few
much,
I'm not.
guys.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all right.
That was great.
Leave it on a cliffhanger. We could pick up there and see where this scene goes, whether it goes into combat or whether it goes into negotiation. We'll see. All right. Cool beans. Thank you very much for joining us. See us for episode 30.
Bye. Bye. Bye.